slices, put it on a board, and it means something totally different. We value bullshit, arbitrary
Reggie, before you
things.
keep going, I want you to know that you're going live right now. I went on Facebook
and
Live.
And that's American culture is, are you keeping up with the Joneses? But also it's, hey, we've had systemic racism. That's not a fucking problem.
Yeah, man,
I think value militarism because it makes people money. And if it makes people money, that's okay because that feeds into capitalism. And if none of these ideas are mitigated, like they weren't in the 1900s, you get pandemonium and unfair treatment between wealthy and poor, and create monopolies, which happened back then, which are literally happening now, but nobody wants to recognize it.
100%.
Because they're too concerned about their wallets.
Yep.
And if I'm ranting, please cut it.
No, man. Everything you're saying, I agree with.
America's had a fucked up history from the get-go.
Correct.
But we try to glorify it over Freedom Ring and Star Spangled Banner and the American flag and total nationalist patriotism, individualism, that we are literally the most ignorant fucking country in the world, and we literally have proof in the form of the pandemic that everyone else is cool with except for us, because guess what? Yeah, all what I just explained.
Exactly, Reggie. Is like, at the end of the day, you know, I think for a long time, if you've been paying attention to the world politics, if you've been paying attention to the world stage, it's been obvious for a long time now that we're a joke, right?
Okay, now would be like a really good time for you to say something.
I'm speaking. Sorry, can you not hear me? Sorry, man. I've been talking this entire time. I can't believe you haven't been hearing me. I was saying that I actually agree with everything you're saying. I think that you're live right now. I'm on Facebook Live, so more than necessarily just you and me are hearing this. I didn't realize that I had you on mute, so you couldn't hear me. So I apologize. Everything you just said, Reggie, I completely agree with, man. I think that at the end of the day, you know, we're in a situation where, unfortunately, with America, there's not enough people that are aware of our history. There's not enough people aware of the fact that from 1776 onwards, you know, it's been systemic. It's been enshrined, this capitalistic nature. You know, when we look at our forefathers, like we were discussing earlier, it's not news to some of us that, like, they were the highly wealthy, right? They were the aristocrats. They were the lawyers. They all owned plantations. All of them owned slaves at some point or to some degree, you know, and it just depends on, like, again, how you classify that. Where do you draw the line? Because it gets super murky during that time as to, like, who's indentured, who's being, you know, paid, who's not. It's sad that it's not super clear the way these men felt on these issues. Everything speaks volumes to the contrary, right?
On the whole racism issue, we literally in our Constitution tried to count a slave as 3/4 a person, and that was not like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
I'm chill with that.
Exactly. Yeah, man, I wish we could have gone live earlier, because, like, what we were talking about when it comes to capitalism, when it comes to the fact that we largely see ourselves and our wealth, our self-value in the things that we buy and the things that we're surrounding ourselves with. You know, everything's got a dollar sign. You know, it's something that needs to be spoken about more often. I think it needs to be discussed. That, you know, unfortunately, it's not. That we've gotten so comfortable with just consuming all the time. And that's all we do. You know, it's just, what are we gonna buy on Amazon next? What are we gonna subscribe to next? What are we gonna watch next?
That's what's funny is, like, how mindlessly we.
Oh yeah, we all do it. I'm just as much a slave to the system I'm criticizing. Like, we all do it. We all have the big screen that's in our fucking bedrooms. You know, we all want the fucking mini fridge or something else in our bedrooms. You know, it just, that's what I mean, is that, like, it's.
Here's even on that is, I mean, again, on the very realism, and if we're on live and other people can hear this, and, like, the crazy thing is like, so I have nursing friends over, right? People in my same stratosphere of money, and when I had them over, I overhear the comment of just like, oh, Reggie's so rich. And they were like browsing through my streaming services. I'm like, y'all know I get all that for free, right? Like, I was just trying to downplay the comment that I overheard from like my room, and they were in the living room.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, but the funny thing to me is the person sitting in my living room literally makes more than I do.
Yeah.
And I know this for a fact because I can calculate her wage versus mine. And it was just like, I mean, if you really wanted to get down to the brass tacks of it, I was just going to be like, well, I'm sorry, I just used my money more intentionally, I guess.
And that's the thing, is that, like, I'm not here to criticize anyone, right? I didn't go live so that people can hear us ranting and raving about criticism of people. I think that, to a large degree, buying things is helping people stay sane during this time. It's helping people, get the things that they need, and there's not something that should be felt. There shouldn't be any guilt felt with those kind of purchases. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to prescribe something with it that the people shouldn't feel, and that's another thing entirely. Like, that's a conversation that should be had as well, right? Is that too often now we're trying to babysit everybody when it comes to conversations. Like, I'm done with it. Like, at the end of the day, if you want to have an elevated conversation, I'm happy to have it. Come and join us. But I'm not going to bring myself down to where we're arguing about semantics or he said, she said. Like, I'm not trying to win a discussion, right? I'm trying to have one.
In the sense of the story I brought up, it's like, all right, like, just taking an inventory of the items I have, it's like, I have a nice coffee table. I made that with my dad because it was something that we did bonding, and it's something I'm going to keep. And by the way, it's badass.
I love it, dude.
My couch, it's like, okay, I could have spent $400 on a couch, but I didn't quite like that one. But I liked the one that was more money, and I had the money at the time, so I'm going to buy the thing that I like.
Reggie, you know what you're doing, man, is you're proving my point.
Okay, well, yeah, sure. What?
I said you're proving my point, man. My point, my overarching point is that at the end of the day, just like you're doing right now, we define ourselves by what we buy. We can look in ourselves and we can say, I like this version of myself because of the purchase that I've made. And it's important to start to diagnose that that's where the issue starts, right? Is that we're so addicted, we're so a slave to the system that we don't see that as a bad thing. We want to give them more information about us so they can give us better ads so that we have even less control over what we were trying to spend money on. Because that's the idea, right? Is that we're all just consumers. That's what we boil down to. I mean, that's literally it.
Is the opposite ideal minimalism then?
Well, no, it's not about minimalism, and it's not about, it's not about capitalism. It's about the way we feel about ourselves, man. It's about culture. It's about that. At the end of the day, we cannot fix something that we're not even aware of, is an issue. It's not something you can even discuss with most people because they don't understand that there's a problem. That's what I mean, is that, like, when I say that I'm addicted to Facebook, when I say that I'm addicted to my phone, when I say that I'm addicted to certain things, people think I'm joking.
But you're right.
I'm being very honest about something that I'm trying to actively work and mitigate towards, right? Like, I canceled my Amazon membership. You know that. There's things that I'm doing actively to mitigate these things, right? But I am still doing...
In a way, that's kind of the same conversation as people that hate on gamers for being gamers and playing video games, yet people that are criticizing gamers for watching Netflix for hours on it. It's like you're both wasting your time. You're just arguing about how you're doing it.
And that's what I want to stray away from, is that, like, I don't care how people spend their time. I don't give two shits how they spend their time. But what I want us to do is be more honest about why we're spending our time the way we are, right? Like,
right.
I'm spending on average probably like 4 hours on my phone, right? And most of that is consuming Facebook, Instagram, New York Times, and porn, probably. You know, like outside of those things, I don't think that there's a lot of anything else that I consume on my phone. And so 4 hours may not seem significant, but 5 hours a day is more time than we should be giving to our phones.
And that's okay, so one of the weird things I have is like getting worth out of games, and if you were to add all that time up, as you say, like 4 hours a day, right? And it's weird how the psychology changes when you start seeing like an absolute tracker. Like, hey, you spent 76 hours here, you spent 80 hours here, you spent 120 hours here.
And that's what I'm saying, Reggie, is what you're talking about. It sounds real deep state, but it's literally openly, brazenly what they're doing. They're trying to get to understand us even better through video games so they can sell to us better, man. It's disgusting.
I mean, if I can be perfectly transparent, what I'm describing is the Steam library, because it does that.
Yeah, man. I'm familiar. I'm on Steam. I'm familiar.
Yeah. But and then that triggers how they produce ads to you, sales. Hi, spend money, because it's all about spending money.
And it's all about reviews and photos of what you picked, what you purchased, because that makes more sales, right? Like, we're all a slave to the system because it incentivizes us to be a slave to it, right? Like, when they're going to give you $30 back in cashback rewards just for giving reviews on the shit you already bought, how could you possibly say no?
What? It's like, why do you buy a house and make improvements to it? Because it's an investment to make you more money, to be a slave to the money.
Well, the thing about houses is that, like, they're a good investment, man. I wouldn't be telling you to get into one. If I thought that they weren't. But
it proves your overarching point is you're just a slave to the money.
Well,
you're a slave to the money until you die, but you can't take it with you, so you give it to your kids so they can get more money, so they can be more a part of the system.
Exactly,
because
man.
The system is money.
Exactly. You get it, Reggie. You get it, Reggie. At the end of the day, like, there's people that aren't making a fifth of what you and me are making, that are happier than us living somewhere else. And that's just a fact, man. Like, there's so much money in our systems that it's difficult to live in America and not spend hundreds of dollars on rent. It's difficult to live in America and not spend hundreds of dollars on things like autos, like your transportation, your car payment, your whatever it is.
Growing up with it. American dream, man.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, is that, like, it's not even necessarily like our fault. It's important that we understand that there's a deep, deep system of values that have been placed over decades to make us think that, you know what, the value is in what the next car you're going to buy, what brand of car you're going to buy. Who is it that you're voting for? What's the name bumper sticker you're putting on that, that Harley? You know what I mean? Like, it's stupid things like that shifted the conversation from being thoughtful and regarding the subjects and what we're actually discussing, and started being more partisan, right? It started being more tribalism. And people don't understand that, like, we used to talk about everything, and now we can't talk about anything.
Well, because it kind of came with, I don't know when this started, but when politics started becoming a disrespectful conversation.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing, is that, like, nothing that I believe do I believe so strongly that I'm not willing to immediately let go of at a moment's notice when presented with better information. Like, that's the way I feel. If there's a better way to do things, which we know there is, right? It's not like we're having to figure this out as a new country on a new world for the first time. There's, like, tons of other countries, all of them doing it better, all of them showing us how to do it better. And it's like, you got to ask yourself, why are we so comfortable with our politicians doing so little? Why are we so comfortable with, in the middle of a pandemic, someone like Abbott being able to just walk it back, and say, I really, I shouldn't have said that. I
Well,
People shouldn't have gone out like I told them to. What?
So and that's where that conversation of politics became a bad conversation. We just became so removed from the system that it almost just became, if it doesn't individually affect me, why the hell do I care about it?
Exactly, man.
The pervasive problems we're seeing today
exactly.
the product of that long-term thinking of, well, politics is a bad discussion. It doesn't affect our everyday social lives, I guess, so I'll just ignore it.
And that's the thing, is that, like, it's super easy to think that politics is a conversation above you, right? That it's just, it's what the goobers talk about, the hobnobs. It's stupid talk. It's only when you start to pay attention that you realize, okay, that's what they want you to believe, right? They want you to believe that politics is nonsense so that you don't become invested, so that you're not an activist, so that you're not there asking for people's civil liberties to actually be respected. You know, like, they don't want us to know this stuff, of course. Why would they? The truth about our government, man, is that they're doing so many bad things at so many times, at so many moments, all the time, that it's impossible to pay attention or put a lens on all of it. It's just impossible. There's so much corruption. There's so many things that are going on wrong that it's just impossible to put a lens under any of it. So it's just we're in the middle of a media dumpster fire, and it's every single day of our lives. You know, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I consider myself a patriot. I think that I care about my fellow man tremendously, and it bothers me, Reggie. It bothers me tremendously that we've allowed for one person to completely take over, take over our entire identity as a nation, man. I don't even know what, when we're in the middle of a pandemic like this, and we're talking about photo ops, and we're talking about, how to do things differently so that we can look better, so the testing doesn't look so big. So, it's like the conversation's so stupid, it's so elementary, that it's just like, what are we talking about?
Can I just capitalize it?
Go ahead.
Let's slow down.